This podcast is brought to you in part by P&P Games, your online source for everything video games. Visit their website at pnpgames.com or at one of their 3 retail locations in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Alrighty, everybody, and welcome to what is a new show. This is DeREZD, episode 1. This is the podcast formerly known as the bonus stage, formerly known as These Dudes on Games. So we've had some name changes here, but we're starting out fresh with a new name, with a new art style, new logo. If you're looking at the live stream, or if you're watching on YouTube or a downloadable video, you can see our nice new album art. Actually, if you're downloading the MP3, you're probably going to have the album art on your player right now as well. We are starting fresh, just because it is a new show, a new change in direction, and I don't know, Will, we thought it was a good idea.
Yes, I think it's awesome. I feel like this is we were talking about the bonus stage, the name, and how it kind of harkens back to old school video games, and it doesn't get much more old school than Tron, and it's kind of where a little bit of this inspiration came from.
Oh, totally. We're playing we have an awesome new theme song. It's a title called DeREZD, with extra Zs and an E in there somewhere. This is the Game Boy remix by Bright Primate. You can check it out at brightprimate.tk. So yeah, we're just starting fresh, starting with a new number. We're actually going to go with episode 54 or whatever. And the chat room blew up and was like, no, it's a fresh start. Why are you doing that? You should start at number 1. And
it was a revolt.
Yeah, and Will and I are like, oh, do you want to go with 1? And he's like, yeah, I guess so. I said, okay, I guess so. So we changed it. So DeREZD episode 1. You get it the same way as you got all the other shows. Don't worry about that. But we're starting fresh. As always, I'm your host, Lloyd Hannison. Joining me, my co-host with a fancy new webcam, Will Kelly. Will, how the heck are you?
I'm doing awesome. So I'm not scaring you off with my new high def camera going on.
I took some gaffer tape and I just put it over your little thumbnail on my screen, so it's fine. I don't care.
Perfect.
No, it looks good.
Kind.
You're rocking the same camera as I am. So you just have better lighting than I do. I gotta step up the lighting game, I guess. Little. It's
okay.
Little off.
Can't be perfect all the time.
I guess so. So yeah. Anyway, again, DeREZD, DeREZD or ZD, depending if you're Canadian or American. It's going to be the same feed. So if you're already subscribed to the bonus stage, it's just going to switch over to the new name. If you're checking out our videos on YouTube, it's just going to replace the bonus stage playlist. Everything like that. It's just a new name, so nothing too crazy, too fancy, and we hope you guys like it. If you want to know the story about the name, check out on the forums, vgpodcast.com/forums. There's no post there yet, but if people ask, I will tell you why there has been the name change. Some people in the
secret.
Canon Shane in the chat room is wondering what that's all about. So maybe we'll chat about it on the chat room or in the forums there, Canon Shane. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you think of the show, what you think of the format change, what do you think of the name, and everything. You can do that by emailing us, vgpodcasts@gmail.com. You can call our voicemail line, which is area code 505 VG Podcasts, or you can bug me on Twitter. I love following listeners and chatting with them. I'm at DazMe on Twitter. There's also the Twitter feed for the whole podcast network, which is at VGPod. And Will, you're also on Twitter. What's your Twitter username of choice?
Yep, I am Iliam, ILIAM.
Nice. So go for it. Sorry, I cut you off.
No worries. That was just kind of a play on words on my name. So
nice.
And I'm a Mac fanboy, or Apple fanboy. So there you go.
So you're an I, Liam.
There you go.
Nice. I like it. And we're still working on timings between Will and I being a little bit further than Jeff and I. We're in the same city. The Skype delays were a little bit less than Will and I. So we're gonna get that figured out over the coming weeks on the show. But yeah, I guess that's about it. What do you say we get into the meat of the show, man?
Let's do it. Excited.
All right. Well, let's drop right into our big news item of the week. It doesn't have a name yet. If you guys have any good ideas for what we should call this section, send them in, email or voicemail or on the forums. But this week, Will, what do you think is the biggest news item that came out in this whole entire gaming week of ours?
Well, there's a lot of actually pretty big news items going on in the world of gaming this week, but I think the biggest one, and I'm kind of happy about this because last week was kind of the bash on Xbox week, and I feel like it's someone else's turn now. And Nintendo had their investor meeting this week, and I think that was pretty much it. What do you think?
Yeah, it's got to be Nintendo. Things are bad in Nintendo land right now. I spent like the first half hour of the Nintendo Pulse this week basically complaining and talking about all the depressing things. It's pretty bad.
Well, yeah, but at least there's not all bad news. There's some
That's
good
true.
news sprinkled in there, here and there.
That's true. But sprinkled in the good news is a lot of cluelessness as well, coming from Iwata during this presentation. But yeah, I guess what we're getting to is this week Nintendo held a investors meeting. If you're a company that has shares, you have to have a regular shareholders meetings. Nintendo does theirs in a big theater, and usually it's fairly well attended. This week it was packed like you wouldn't believe, because everybody and their dog wanted to check out what Nintendo had to say, because previously they had announced that their forecasts for the next year are going to be way down. They had initially planned for 8 million or 9 million Wii U's. They dropped that down to 2.8 or something crazy. So there was a lot of strife in the Nintendo investor market. There was a lot of people saying, well, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. You're losing us money. So Nintendo really had to come back and start addressing some of these concerns.
So, Lloyd, I have a question for you, being such a Nintendo guy. Why do you think last year was such a struggle for them? It's my understanding that they sold a grip of 3DSs.
Yeah, 3DS was the top-selling gaming console of the year.
So is it just the Wii U's not selling? And
Yeah.
I mean, because they had also a ton of major releases this year that also did really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have million sellers, a bunch of million sellers on the Wii U. So software is selling. It's just the hardware. Normally, Nintendo's always been a company that makes money on each of their hardware units that they sell. So for the Wii, it was estimated that when the Wii first launched and it was selling for $249, it was actually costing Nintendo somewhere around $170. So they were making like $50 on each sale, maybe a little bit less because they have to discount it to sell to distributors. But they were making money on each piece of hardware that was sold, and each Wiimote, because if you had a Wii, you probably had 4 Wiimotes because you'd want to do party games, and those cost $35 in the stores. They probably cost Nintendo $5 to make, so they're making a lot of money on hardware. And that's how it's always been for Nintendo. They've always been a company that makes money on hardware and on software, unlike every other hardware manufacturer that they use their console as a loss leader. But for the Wii U, with the inclusion of the gamepad, which is essentially a small little tablet, it's more akin to like one of those kids leap pads or something, the kind of kids tablets, because it is single touch. But it's still a fairly expensive piece of equipment, I would assume, to put together. So they're not making money on these units. So, and they're not selling enough to drive more sales of games to then kind of break even. Like if there's more people buying these pieces of hardware and they're buying lots of games, they can start taking all that money that they've made and spread it out across all of the units that they made and start trying to break even. But that is not happening at all.
So Prometheus brought up a good point in the chat room, and he says he can't find one single point of failure. Is it? Some people are saying it's a lack of games. Some
Mhm.
people are saying that. What my personal thought is that they kind of were struggling already, starting an uphill battle at the launch of the system because when they first launched it, it was kind of unclear unless you were really into gaming and understood what gaming was, what the Wii U was. Is this
Yeah,
a peripheral, especially for all the people? The Wii was a great system to bring in non-gamers into
sure.
the video game space, and for a lot of those people, even myself, I thought with the initial announcement that the Wii U was a peripheral for the Wii. Do you think that has something to do with it?
I definitely like. I've had this argument with some people. Actually, even when I was recording Nintendo Pulse yesterday, that we had a foreman, a longtime listener of the show and friend of the network. He was just kind of just disagreeing with me in the chat room. He's like, "No, that's crazy. That's not what it is." But from early on, like even the first E3 when they showed off the Wii U, all they showed off was the gamepad. They didn't show
Mhm.
what the Wii U console looked like. So even after E3, you had the gaming press saying, "Well, is it a new console? Is the gamepad the whole console? Does it connect wirelessly to your TV? Like, what is this thing?" And those are people that are like deep ingrained in what
Mhm.
video games are. They called it the Wii U, not the Wii 2, or not something totally different. So being a Wii owner, if you had bought any games, you might have bought like Wii Play. You might have bought Wii Party. You might have bought what is it, Wii Fit. So it was all like it's Wii and then another name, which is just a peripheral or a piece of software for your Wii. So they come out and they call this thing Wii U, and it's like, oh, well, is the thing that I'm holding in my hands with the screen, is that the U? Is that what they're,
Mhm.
because you are holding it? Is that what it is? And there's a lot of real confused people out of there. I'm not saying that the name is the sole reason, but they could have gotten rid of a lot of that confusion by naming it something completely different instead of just the Wii U. And they also did a really horrible job advertising what it is. Like after release, I still go to Best Buy and hear people confused. But right after the Wii U came out, I was in Best Buy, or Future Shop up here, as it's known. Actually, we have both of them up here, but Best Buy bought Future Shop. But anyway, that's a different story for a different time. I was in Future Shop, and a dad was shopping with his son, and his son's looking at software, and then he sees this new game that he wants to play, and he's like, "Oh, Dad, can we buy this? But we have to buy a Wii U first." And the dad was like, Wii U, you already have a Wii. You don't need it. You just need that pad. Can't you play it with your controllers on the thing you already have? And the kid wasn't even sure. He's just
Really?
like, well, no, it looks. I think it's a sequel. I think it's another console. Like people that were in the market to buy this stuff were just confused as to what it was. And then on top of it, it released just before the next generation of games, being the first next generation consoles, being the first of the next generation consoles, but it had the same basic hardware that was in the current gen stuff.
Mhm.
So it's not something new and fresh. So you have the hardcore gamers that want they want the most pixels being pushed to their screen, and the most beautiful looking games. Well, they're not going to buy the Wii U because they're waiting for the Xbox One or the PS4. And then the price, $350, was not a Nintendo price. Nintendo's usually a lot cheaper than everything else that's in the market. So I think there's three major points that is basically making this almost a failure. And hopefully Nintendo can kind of pull out of this nosedive that they're in.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree, and I think you're exactly right on all those from a consumer point of view.
Yeah, it's confusing. It really
Yeah.
is. So basically, at this investors meeting, Iwata announced a bunch of things. First off, he's going to be taking a 50% pay cut for the next 5 months to kind of make up for some of these losses. A lot of other VPs or high level execs at Nintendo are going to be taking 20 to 40% pay cuts depending on what their base salary is. There's a whole bunch of other things that are happening in that regards. But then they started talking about what they're going to do to kind of turn this around. They said flat out, or they being Iwata, he was the only one that was presenting at the start of this event, and he said that there's going to be no price drop for the Wii U. They don't think price is the problem.
Mistake?
I disagree.
Yeah.
If the Wii U was $200, you'd have a lot of people that would buy it just to play Mario and just to play whatever's coming next from Nintendo.
Completely agree.
So it's still a little too expensive. But they said instead of dropping the price, they did a very poor job of basically explaining what the Wii U gamepad is and really setting the tone for what fun games could be played on this device. So they're going to be coming out with software in the near future that is going to better utilize the gamepad. Stuff like using the NFC reader that is right on the gamepad. So I assume it's going to be something like a Pokemon game. They already have that, where you buy the little ball Pokeballs and you put the Pokemon things on your controller and they go into the game. But I guess they're gonna come up with maybe something that's a little more mainstream, not so Japanese, I guess, to support that and kind of explain it.
So not another peripheral, something that would use the NFC and the gamepad.
Yes, it's like a Skylanders or Disney
Okay.
Infinity-ish kind of piece of software that you just put something on it, it reads the chip, and that thing appears in the game. Okay. The thing to me that is confusing about that is, sure, people don't know what the gamepad is. I get that, but they're still not going to buy a $300 piece of hardware to say, oh, now my kids can put their Pokemon on this thing and the thing goes into the TV. Like they're not going to spend the money if they haven't already spent the money to play that Nintendo experience. It seems kind of bizarre to me.
Yeah, that's not a system seller, which in a lot of ways sounds like that's their issue.
Yep.
It might help them make a little money for current owners of Wii U, but it's not going to be something that's going to make the system fly off the shelves.
Yeah, you're not going to have a run on Wii U's that are sitting on store shelves anytime soon, just because the NFC reader of the gamepad. Because there's other games on the market that do that. It's not new and fancy anymore. When Skylanders first came out, people were like, "What? This is the coolest thing ever!" And then, I mean, it's been done. There's Disney Infinity is crazy successful, and they do the same thing. Nintendo's going to have a lot to compete with that. Another thing that they said they're going to be bringing out is the ability to play DS Virtual Console games on your Wii U, which I think is kind of cool. Your gamepad becomes the touchscreen of your DS. The top screen is your television. I could see where that would be kind of fun, playing old DS games.
Yeah, that's I mean, when I read this almost was a system seller for me. I don't own a 3DS, so this would be a way that I could play a lot of DS games. I mean, the at least the last two, the Wii U and the Wii, were great for retro gaming.
Yep.
They're great consoles for that, and this is a way to. I wouldn't necessarily consider this retro gaming, but it allows you to play some games you may not otherwise be able to.
Yeah.
And using the console and its controller / peripheral in a perfect way to really enhance the gameplay.
Sure, totally. The problem that Nintendo's going to have here is pricing. Like I bought a DS game in stores the other day. It's a horrible game. It's Thundercats for the DS, but my son wanted it, so I bought it. It was $5. So I went to the store and I bought a new copy of Thundercats for the DS for $5. If I go to the Virtual Console right now on the Wii U, for $5, I could buy Nintendo Golf for the NES. I can buy Balloon Fight for the NES. All the NES games are $5. So NES is $5. Super Nintendo is $8. N64 is 10 or more, depending. Like there's one game that's 12. So what does that make DS games? 15, 20? That becomes a little less affordable because it's not going to be an impulse buy. I don't know. Maybe when Nintendo comes out with the DS Virtual Console games, maybe that means that they kind of drop the prices of everything else. Like if Nintendo games were $2, I would buy a hell of a lot more than at $5. I don't really want to spend $5 because I spent $5 on my Wii, and I don't own that on my Wii U now because of Nintendo's crazy system about like you buy it for each individual console, not you don't buy it for your account.
Well, that was actually going to be my next question. would that cost be a little more appealing if it was a universal purchase and you buy that DS game on your Wii U and you can also play it on your download and play it on your 3DS?
Yeah, it would be a little more. There'd still be. I'd still be picking and choosing a lot to do that.
Yeah.
But if I could buy, say, Super Mario Brothers and play it on my DS and play it on my Wii and play it on my Wii U, I mean, that's better than just paying $5 on each system. So
Right.
things like the classics, like the Zeldas, the Marios, the Metroids, that would be something worth owning if I could play it on all my devices. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. Like the virtual console it could be a huge thing for Nintendo. If they had an iTunes for old Nintendo games and old Super Nintendo games, where you basically install this app on your device, whether it's your 3DS, whether it's your Wii U, or who knows, maybe in the future whether it's your iPad. And then you buy old games for 99 cents. And then you get permanent access to them based on your Nintendo Network ID. I mean, that could be a huge thing for Nintendo. Like I know people that would drop $10 a week easily on playing old games just because they like to experience some of the nostalgia from their childhood. And maybe they don't want to hook up an NES to an old CRT television in their house and then start playing them that way. This would be an easy way to just say, okay, well, I own these dozen games that I really love. I'm just going to buy them. Here, Nintendo, take my $12. Now I can play them virtually and not have to illegally download them to play in an emulator on my PC. Because what Nintendo's really doing with the virtual console is competing with free, because even though it's illegal, it's like super simple to basically go to Google and say Super Mario World ROM, and you're presented with a download page. You hit download, and within 3 seconds, it's sitting on your PC or Mac, and you could play it. If they could develop a system that would compete with that, just like iTunes did with MP3s, and make it affordable for people, I think that could like single-handedly save Nintendo's falling stock prices, because they'd be making money hand over fist with that. Anyway, I don't know what else to say about that.
I completely agree. And I think you hit the nail on the head with it is readily available right now, and for the very appetizing price of free.
Yeah.
And granted, like you said, it's illegal, but it's like a lot of things in life. If it was easily available and a fair price, what most would consider a fair price, and people, I think, more times than not would prefer to purchase those things instead of finding them other ways. But
Yeah.
unless they, I don't know. I think, and I was gonna wait to talk about this, but I think a lot of what Nintendo's problem, I think there's a cultural issue there in how they run their business.
Yeah.
But I also think a lot of it has to do with their hubris. And we talked a little bit about this last week when we were discussing, or could have even been the brainstorming, when we were discussing Sony's kind of reemergence and last gen, when they started off really slow because they felt like they owned the space and they could do anything they wanted, including mistakes, and not have people really care. And I think that's carried Nintendo through quite a bit, but I think people are starting to finally get a little bit frustrated with that and not having what they want.
Yeah. There definitely is a huge sense of arrogance about not so much like Sony's arrogance, where everybody will work 3 jobs to buy our stuff, but arrogance that our software is better than everybody else's, so people will pay a premium to play it on our hardware. Like iPhone, iPad, Android ecosystems, they've kind of changed that. A lot of what people had DSs for, I know a lot of adult non-gamers that have a DS because they were playing small little games in their free time, and they don't do that anymore because they have an iPhone and they play solitaire on their iPhone, or they play Cookie Crush or Candy Crush. Candy Crush is what it is. Although I probably can't say that. I can't say Candy anymore. The cease and desist letters will come in now that I said Candy on the air. But they use that now as their way to get software, because it was too expensive to buy the odd $30 DS cartridge and put it in their DS. They just buy a 99-cent app or a free app and play it, and that's their enjoyment now. like Nintendo does have still have a huge sense of arrogance about the value of software, and I understand why they want to price their stuff at a premium, because their games are probably some of the best that have ever been created. I know Mario and Zelda won a bunch of Game of the Year awards for last year because their games are awesome. And I totally 100% agree with that and am on board with that. But it doesn't mean that all of your old games need to sell for a premium, because you've already made your money off of those, Nintendo.
Yep.
It's crazy. Okay, moving on. Nintendo plans to expand their business model to build fitness systems. And then Iwata said, well, these aren't wearables necessarily. So they want to build fitness systems. They're going to leverage Nintendo's stylistic strengths to put smiles on faces and improve the quality of life for their customers. So I had a huge conversation with Steven on this. How do you do fitness systems that aren't wearables? Fitness systems right now consist of the Fitbit. They consist of the Nike Fuel Band. And all of those tie to your iPhone or your Android phone. So you have a Fitbit, and then you download it on your iPhone, and it uploads the number of calories that you burnt and the number of steps you took, and then you compare with your friends. Like, if it's not a wearable, what is it going to be? Is it going to be like this? Is it going to be like yoga mats, Nintendo branded like weightlifting gloves? Like, I don't understand what this is for Nintendo. It's
Well, I personally, I don't understand how this is news, because haven't they been in this space
Well, yeah.
in the form of the Wii Fit?
Wii Fit, they have the pedometer that came out for the Wii Fit U that you could buy for $25 and unlock the game for free if you've already had one of the balance boards. They've already been in that market. Actually, Pokemon, like 5-6 years ago, came with the little like the Pokeball step meter, and that was encouraging you to take steps. The 3DS has that built in, where the number of steps you take give you play coins. I don't know what else they could do, but Nintendo seems to do things that people don't understand when they announce it, and usually they are winners. So I'm cautiously optimistic about what this could possibly mean.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you are. I feel this is an example of them ignoring what their problem is, though. And I mean, I'm sure this will probably have some sort of gaming aspect to it, but again, I don't think many people, if it's a Wii U peripheral, is going to be convinced to get a Wii U because of these systems. So I just think it's them not being focused on. They're like, well, we don't want to change this over here, so let's just grasp something out of the air and see if we can make this work instead.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just like let's enter another market that is already really heavily populated with successful products. I don't know. We'll see what happens. What else? Nintendo said that they will enter the mobile space. So there's been a whole bunch of articles written over the last couple of weeks about how make iPhone games and that will save your life and save your company. Iwata came up and said that we will do that. We will be entering the mobile space, but it won't be with games. It will be with advertising and social apps. And that was in his presentation. That's what he said. Sure, fair enough. I mean, do you use the PlayStation app on your phone, Will?
I don't. I downloaded it, and I hate to say it, but I just found the experience really, really bad.
Yeah,
the first time I used it.
It's gotten better, but it's really cool. Like I can open up my PlayStation app, and I hit friends, and it goes and it says, well, right now, a bunch of people, some names that I don't want to say on the air, are online right now. Skyward Keyblade, who's a fan of the show, is on there right now, but. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. If I could do that and have access to all my friends on my 3DS and Wii U, that would be really cool. But yeah, I don't know what that's going to really do.
I think it's one thing, and I didn't think of this until you just mentioned this, but one thing that might be kind of neat for them is to have, the name's escaping me now, but what's their kind of like gaming social network that they just released for the 3DS?
Miiverse,
yeah.
Yep.
That would be really cool. I mean, I've wanted to check that out just because I've heard all these cool stories about that and really cool community. So even as a non-Nintendo gamer, I would download that app just to see if I could poke around in there.
Yeah.
Do you think this is because that was a pretty clear cut example of what they will have. But could you see them doing something kind of like what was the was it Jack? It wasn't Jack and Daxter. What was the game that you were really excited about that was an endless runner? Uh,
Yeah. Sony did a bunch of these. They've come out with a bunch of free apps. There's a Ratchet and Clank one.
Ratchet and Clank. That's what I was
Um,
thinking.
Sly Cooper Knack, just before the PS4 came out, they had a Knack app that you could basically unlock things in the full retail game when it came out for the PlayStation 4. Um, but yeah, basically during the actual presentation, you would have said no games, no games, no games. But there was a question and answer period after, and he was grilled a little bit about what the mobile game space is going to look like, or the mobile space is going to look like from Nintendo. And at the end, he basically said, "Well, we're setting up a bunch of teams, or a team with some really high level programmers, and we've basically given them carte blanche. So if they come up with games, there'll be games." So he basically admitted that there might be games, but we want to make these Nintendo branded advertising social experiences, but there might be games. So I think if they started doing things like what Sony is doing right now, that would be huge. If there was a game like in Super Mario 3D World, there's these levels where you have to pilot a toad, so little mushroom guy, through this 3D stage, but you can't jump or anything. You can just move forward, and then you can rotate the world. So if you could do that on your iPhone, that would be amazing. If you could just play this little thing and it advertises Super Mario 3D World, available now on your Wii U, available here, click here to buy, like link right to Amazon or something. That would be amazing. And that would potentially sell more Wii U's. If people are really enjoying this experience, it doesn't cost them Nintendo anything to create this, because those assets already exist. They would just have to make the app and release it on the store. I mean, that could be huge. You don't have to make like Super Mario 3D World 2 on the iPhone, but if you have little bite-size gaming experiences, I mean, that could be a good thing for Nintendo.
Now, do you think this is the beginning of the end? Do you think this
No,
is something you don't think it's an inevitability that we will see Nintendo game, we will see Pokemon on the iPad
no,
one day?
I don't think so. I think Nintendo's always going to be around.
It-
I think that Nintendo could only release Nintendo branded games on Nintendo branded portable game systems, and they could probably live for the next 10 years comfortably. If they got out of the console, like living room console market, that is a possibility. If the Wii U fails and they come up with some other device that doesn't sell at all, I mean, Nintendo's just going to pull the plug. But their portable system is awesome. I mean, everybody loves the 3DS. It's kind of the belle of the ball right now in the gaming world. Even though they are competing with iPhones and iPads, I still know a lot of gamers that play them because that's the only place that you can get your Zeldas, you can get your Marios, you can get your Metroids. Well, not yet, but maybe in the future, your Metroids.
Well, and them making games for mobile devices outside of the 3DS, that's again not going to help their problem. If they
Yeah.
create these ancillary experiences for the consoles, which they're having trouble selling or selling games for, then yeah, that might help. So
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, about the only thing that I could see is maybe in some distant future, in some parallel galaxy or parallel universe, that there will be a Nintendo Virtual Console app on your iPad that you can play with one of those MFC like controllers, or whatever those things are called, MFI controllers, or whatever they are. Anyway, the external hardware-based controllers. I could see maybe a future where that could exist if things get really dire for Nintendo, but I don't see a future where you'll be playing the next Mario game on your PlayStation or your Xbox. I think Nintendo's too proud and too arrogant of a company for that ever to happen, which is a little bit unfortunate, I guess. But I don't see Nintendo going anywhere anytime soon. They have lots of money.
yeah,
Even though they're losing money, they still have lots of money in the bank. No worries there.
cool.
And then the last big item that they dropped during this investor meeting was that they want to increase the frequency of big game releases, which is kind of a no-brainer, kind of duh thing to say. But they announced the first one that they're going to start with will be Mario Kart 8, and that will be coming out in May, and it's going to be hitting worldwide, which is a really good thing. So if you like Mario Karts, it's coming in May. I'll be buying it on day one, so I'm excited for an actual release date because we didn't know when it was coming out yet. But yeah, I don't think Mario Kart's going to save the Wii U, so they still have a little ways to go for that. Cool, man. I think that's I think we beat Nintendo to death here on the show. Not literally, because that would be illegal. But we talked about what Iwata said. I don't know. Any other thoughts before we move on?
Well, I think it's funny. Last week it was the Xbox we beat up. People enjoy beating up the Xbox and the PlayStation. It's because there's this constant rivalry between the two of them. I don't think many people really enjoy beating up Nintendo. I mean, I don't own a single Nintendo system now, but I still have such like a deep love in my heart for them because I am the gamer I am today because of them, and I have so much respect and kind of have to honor them in a way. And so you don't like hearing this bad news, but at least I guess we had some good stuff in there. So
yeah, it's bad news, but it's kind of shiny a little bit. It's got a little tiny bit of a I don't know, silver plated maybe.
Lining.
It's not a lining. It's kind of on the outside, but it's kind of peeling off maybe a little bit. But yeah, I love Nintendo. I mean, I remember experiencing Super Mario Brothers for the first time over at a friend's house, whose dad picked up a Nintendo Entertainment System at the New York Toy Fair, which is like when it first came to North America. Brought it home, hooked it up, and it's just like, what the hell is this? I'm jumping, I'm hitting blocks, stuff's coming out, and then you find your first warp zone, and it's like, what the hell is this? This is the coolest thing ever. They didn't have the internet, so you couldn't find all the spoilers. Finding the first extra life in World 1-1 is just like, oh my God, you find something, and then you'd run over to your friend's house, and it's just like, look what we found, come see, and they would come, and it just blew my mind. And Nintendo continued to do that. I mean, they're the biggest innovator in video games from day one. I mean, they're the first one that used like a D-pad. They're the first game system that used an analog stick. Rumble is around because of Nintendo. Like the 3D platformer had been done before. It sucked until Mario 64 came out. I mean, they continue to innovate and innovate and innovate. If they ever go away, it's a bad thing for gamers. But there's a lot of people that are too proud to play Nintendo. They're like, oh, well, that's for kids. I play shooters and murder, death, kill simulators. But I mean, just because their games aren't violent doesn't mean that they're not good games.
Well, and one thing that's been interesting, kind of observing you and the way you play games, is that it's your favorite system. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it your favorite system for playing with the family and playing with your kids?
Yeah. I mean, well, maybe. I play a lot on the Wii U with my kids, but we play a lot of Skylanders on the PlayStation 3. And we now play a lot of Minecraft on the PlayStation 3. So it was funny. My daughter, she had a throat infection and she's on medication for it. And now she's having a reaction to the medication. So she has like full body hives, and it's just a horrible, horrible thing. So I was up with her just before doing the show and just comforting her, and she was crying and sad. And I was like, don't worry, tomorrow we'll play games for a whole bunch of hours. And she's like, yay. I'm like, so what do you want to play? Do you want to play Skylanders? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, do you want to play Disney Infinity? Yeah, that would be fun. I'm like, well, we could also play Minecraft. She's like, yeah, Minecraft. It's like, whoa, your voice raised like 5 times the volume. And that's all she wants to do now is play Minecraft on the PlayStation 3. So I think we might be doing that tomorrow.
Cool.
All right. Yeah, let's move on. Let's get into the main news of the show, not the big news item, but the other news items. First up, Microsoft's done some interesting things this week. A couple interesting things. First off, they acquired the Gears of War franchise. They bought it from Epic because I don't think Epic really wanted to make any more Gears of War games or any games, and for that matter. They seem to have slowed it right down. But they bought the ownership of the franchise from Epic. It's pretty huge. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Will? Are you a Gears of War fan, first off?
I was. This excited me for one reason, and that is because original Gears blew my mind on the 360 and kind of like what was capable at the time. And I'm hoping a new Gears on a next gen system would do the same. That being said, I'm not really a Gears fan anymore. I mean, I played 1, 2, and 3, and when 3 was over, I kind of like it's like, okay, that was cool. I felt like I accomplished something because I kind of ended out this trilogy of something I used to be a big fan of. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's really good for Microsoft. Me personally, though, it's kind of a wait and see, and I'm sure it will be pretty great, but I'm not really that excited about it right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I loved Gears 1. It was just like a mind-blowing franchise when you first played it. It looked amazing. The gameplay was unlike anything else that you'd ever played. Gears 2 was great, playing Horde mode and all that stuff. Gears 3 was iterative and more of the same, but it was fun to play through and just see where the story went. And then the Gears that just came out, I haven't even played it. I could care less about going through that world again with other people that are not Marcus Phoenix. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think this does it for me. Especially after seeing what Microsoft did to Halo. Bungie treated Halo with love, and just the games that Bungie created were amazing. And then the last Halo came out, and you could tell that it wasn't the same thing. It was Halo, but then there's like Call of Duty stuff baked into it, and then there's other features from other games baked into it, and it just wasn't the Halo of my youth. Kids these days and their newfangled Halos. Yeah. In my day, you didn't have sky drops dropping you weapons. You had to find them on the ground for people that you killed. But anyway, they really changed what Halo was, and I'm worried they're going to do the same thing with Gears.
Well, and I looked at that a little differently. I really enjoyed Halo 4. That is my all-time favorite franchise, though, so I'll probably always like it. But I think there's you can kind of look at this similarly with Gears of War. They're very, very specific mechanics, at least the original and of both. And if you don't innovate a little bit on that, it's no matter how good the story is, I think it will get a little stale, because I don't ever really want to play the same game with a different coat of paint, or just a different story, but pretty much playing the same one. I don't really want to do that. So I don't know how they can really innovate on Gears of War, but I feel like they're going to have to do something other than just make it prettier.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's some good pedigree that's coming over with that project. Mm-hmm. So some folks that worked on Gears of War.
Yeah, Rod Ferguson, who's the one of the main creators of the first game, who left Epic to do other things, is now coming back to Microsoft and joining Black Tusk Studios, which is the company that has been tasked with creating the new Gears game, whatever that is. And Black Tusk is that company that showed off the really crazy Unreal Engine powered game at E3, and it was just kind of blew my mind. So that kind of excites me, because that stuff is kind of amazing. We'll see what they can do with this franchise, I guess.
So why do you think this happened? Do you think Epic was trying to offload Gears of War because they didn't want to do anymore? Do you think this was Microsoft trying to grab another exclusive that could potentially sell some systems for them? What do you think?
I think it could be one of two things. One, Microsoft tried to court Epic to make another game. Epic said no. Microsoft asked again, please, we need some more stuff for our console. Epic said no. And then they finally said, fine, we'll sell us the franchise. And Epic said, give us $1 billion. Microsoft said, here, where do I send the cart of money? That could be one option. The other option is maybe some rumors kicked up that now that their deal with Microsoft was over, maybe they're going to start shopping around some exclusives to, say, PlayStation, and say, hey, we can come up with a Gears game and put it on PlayStation. And maybe Microsoft didn't want any chance of that happening, because that was one of the long-standing Xbox exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
Could be either or none. It could just be Epic just didn't want to do anything anymore, and they courted Microsoft and said, yeah, we're ready to kill this franchise. We don't really want to live in this world anymore. It doesn't excite us. Do you want to buy it from us? And here's all the details on future sequels and other stuff that we're looking at. And that could be part of it as well. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. We'll see what happens with that.
Exactly. All right. Moving off of Gears of War to something as the polar opposite of a Gears of War, and that is Sly Cooper, Sly Raccoon, who likes to steal things, but only from bad people because he's a nice guy. Great game franchise on the Sony PlayStation games or consoles. I'm actually playing through the newest Sly Cooper game on my Vita right now, and really quite enjoying it. Well, Sly Cooper, it was just announced he's going to be in a movie, and it's going to be in 2016. So this character that not many people know, except if you're a longtime PlayStation fan, is going to be a 3D animated movie coming to theaters in 2016. How excited are you, Will?
Surprisingly, I'm excited about this. I don't know how excited because I've never played a single Sly Cooper game, but it's just one of those random franchises I've always really been interested in. I've just never picked up for whatever reason. But the characters always look so intriguing to me, and so that's why even as a non-player, this movie is kind of exciting.
Yeah, I like it. I was never a huge Sly Cooper fan. I played it. I was more of a Ratchet and Clank guy myself. Jack and Daxter and Sly Cooper were kind of on the same. They were the second place. They shared second place for me. If they had a Ratchet and Clank movie coming out, I'd be jumping up and down right now on the podcast and making a fool out of myself. This is good. I mean, this can only be a good thing. Making a movie means the company that owns the IP is going to get a big chunk of money. It means Sony is going to get a big chunk of money. Means it's going to advertise this franchise, maybe get more people buying the games, the consoles. I don't know. It's a good thing. It seems like a weird IP to me, actually.
Yeah, it's also a great opportunity to butcher another video game movie, which is always kind of fun to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, they can't all be Wreck-It Ralph, unfortunately.
No, that's true.
Yeah. So, if anybody likes Sly Cooper, you can watch it on the big silver screen at some point in 2016. I'm excited, actually. I think my kids would want to go see it because they watch me play Sly Cooper and they kind of like it. They like the thought of stealing things, but only from bad people, because stealing is bad, except when you steal from bad people, apparently.
Are you teaching some future kleptomaniacs there, Lloyd?
I can neither confirm nor deny because I don't want to self-incriminate myself. Oh. All right. We have some more Sony news this week before ending out our news. PlayStation Now, Sony talked about it, and it looks really awesome, and it sounds super, super exciting. That was kind of the big thing that was unleashed at CES this year that got a lot of people talking. Well, if you signed up for the let me know more info when it's available on Sony's website, Sony's been sending out PlayStation Now beta invites. It seems like these invites are going out geographically because they asked for your zip code when you signed up for the beta. I'm not an American citizen. I don't live in the U.S. So my zip code was 90210 because it's the only one I can remember off the top of my head. So we'll see. Awesome. We'll see if it ever moves to Hollywood and they send me a beta invite.
Where geographically? I didn't realize that.
It looks from some of the people that have been talking online that it's more of a San Francisco thing right now.
Okay.
I guess that's where one of their main data centers that they're doing the tests are. But I've also heard some people that are outside of San Francisco that have gotten beta invites. Yikes. So maybe they're looking for some people that are a little bit further away from the data center just to see what lag and ping is going to do to the service.
I've yet to get one, and I've been checking my spam folder constantly. So here's fingers crossed. Hopefully, I'll get one eventually.
Gonna open my mail right now. Oh, it's opening. No, I didn't get it.
I literally, as we're talking, I went to my spam folder and checked.
that is awesome. So yeah, PlayStation Now is exciting. I'm really excited to get it, but I know it's going to be bad for the first while, and I hope people are really patient with it until it gets good, because it's got to be bad. It's what it's doing is just so like magical that there's obviously going to be some issues that they're going to have to get through.
Well, but at least they're not doing this from the ground up. They're not creating this. They're using technology that they had essentially bought from someone else. So hopefully that will at least help the early stages of it not be too painful. But yeah, anything like this at launch is probably going to be pretty difficult. Especially, I don't know how they're going to manage the servers / PS3s.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like they're engineering their own server architecture, which is essentially just like a 1U rack box. If you're familiar with server hardware, anybody out there in the internet land, so it's basically a rack mount server, but inside of the rack mount server is 6 custom PlayStation 3 boards that are basically going to sit in there, and it's going to be a rack mount group of PlayStation 3s instead of actually just buying rack space and putting actual PlayStation 3s. This stuff is actually running on real PlayStation 3s. It's so bizarre to me, but I guess emulating this stuff is going to be tough.
Yeah. Well, and I've had multiple conversations with lots of people talking about current gen systems. People are still upset that there's no backwards compatibility in either the one or the PS4. And I was like, you know what? Even though they're old, these systems, the 360 and PS3, are just still too powerful to really emulate efficiently right now. And so, and this is a perfect example, or I'm sure Sony would do that instead of re-engineering PS3s.
Exactly. And it's kind of funny because Sony has always been the company that when they come out with their new console, they include the old console in the new console. So when the PlayStation 2 came out, its Emotion engine was actually just a PlayStation 1 chip. And that was actually, it was kind of weird. All it did, unless you're doing backwards compatibility, all it did was control signaling between all the different CPUs. But when you started a PlayStation 1 game, it would actually fire up and you'd actually be playing a full PlayStation 1 game on an actual PlayStation 1 chip, which is kind of cool. When the PS3 came out, they did the same thing with the PlayStation 2 chip, but PlayStation 1 games were fully emulated because computers had come quite a way and they were able to do that. But the PlayStation 4 doesn't contain any of that stuff. I guess Gaikai was really factoring into their plans for quite some time. But speaking of emulating, there's news came out this week, or rumors came out that the PlayStation Now, the only reason why they're talking just PlayStation 3 right now is that they're looking at getting native emulation for PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games, and they want to bring that to the PlayStation 4 to prevent any sort of cloud streaming that would have to happen, because PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, older technology, they're 4:3, they're not 16:9, not HD resolution. But if you're running locally in an emulator, you can have all that stuff happen in real time through the emulator. If you've ever seen any of the emulators, PlayStation 1 emulators on your PC, you can make it output at 720p, and it does some aliasing to the textures, makes it look better, smooths out the 3D objects and stuff like that. So there's some rumors that are coming out that that's in fact what Sony is looking to do. So if you've already bought PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games off the PlayStation Store, or PSN, or whatever they're calling it these days, you'll be able to actually just play those in the future, but they'll run emulated on your PlayStation 4 instead of through the cloud streaming, which I think is a great idea at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that. How important do you think this is for them to do? And just the PS1 and PS2 emulation. Do you think it's because the way I look at it is it's just adding value. I was having an argument with a buddy of mine, and I was talking to him about my plans to get a PS4, and I'm really excited about PlayStation Now, and then also this emulation news.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Why are you going to buy a next gen console to play last gen or older games?" And I'm like, well, right now there's nothing really to play. There's very few games to play.
Yeah.
And the more value you can get out of these things, the better off you're going to be. And especially with the infrastructure of the PSN and the back catalog that they already have available. I just think it's a good thing all around.
Yeah, like I've had similar conversations with friends and other people, and I say, well, do you only watch movies that just came out this year, or do you ever go back and watch, like, I don't know, True Lies, and you want to watch that one, or you watch the Rudolph movie or something to kind of play or relive an old classic that you once experienced. And they're like, well, of course I watch old movies. I'm like, well, I like to play old games. I like to go back and play Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which was one of my favorite PlayStation 1 titles of all times. I'd love the chance to, I was actually looking for a couple games that I want to pick up on my PlayStation 1, or for that were PlayStation 1 games, so I can play them on my PS3. I want to find a retail copy of Parappa the Rappa, and I want to find a retail copy of Bust a Groove, which was this great rhythm dancing game that was just horribly Japanese in all the best ways. They're like $60 online to buy a used copy of these games, and it's like, you know what? I don't even want to buy a used copy of these games. I just want to buy it on my PlayStation 3 and just play it that way. Like, if I could find these games for $5 or $10, I would just do that right now. Yeah, I mean, it's and it's not something that I would play a lot, but it would be fun just every once in a while to just bust into some Parappa and play through that a little bit, and then put it away, and then jump into whatever the latest and greatest is.
I would love to play some Parappa the Rappa again.
Oh, it's such a great game. Do you remember how hard that was?
So it was impossible. I didn't even own it. Well, I eventually owned it because a buddy of mine, I would just go over to his house and play it because he, for whatever reason, wasn't good enough to play it. And he would just get frustrated. And finally, he got to the point where he's like, here, just take it and you can have it because I can't do anything with it. So, yeah, it was difficult.
It's amazing how hard that game was. And when you go back to it right now, like, it was ridiculous. It was what was it? I can't remember what game came out. It was some rhythm action game. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, I played that and was doing really good at it. And it's like, you know what? I want to play Parappa the Rappa. And right around the same time, it came out for the PSP. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna go rent this game. So I went to the store, I rented it, put it in my PSP. I beat the game in one sitting without failing once, because we've gotten so used to playing these rhythm action games that hitting like X circle, X triangle. Oh my God, I had to go across all the buttons. So what am I going to do here? That was no longer hard. But when Parappa first came out, it was next to impossible. It was really kind of funny to buy this or rent this game that I would have probably paid $40-$50 for if I bought it, and realized that I beat it in about an hour. And it's like, oh, I'm glad I saved my money and just rented it. But
that's hilarious. But then if you went back and tried to play Super Mario, or let's say you try to go back and play Battletoads on NES, and,
right?
It's going to be impossible still.
That game was damn hard. That game was next to impossible. Pretty crazy.
We should have a throwback show where all we do is talk about their hardest games growing up, like especially on NES, because I can think of like 5 off the top of my head right now.
You know what I want to do is when the Retron 5 comes out, I want to hook it up to my my live stream box and actually do some old games, play some old NES and Super Nintendo cartridges, and stream that video. And maybe we could do like a community game night for old NES games, and talk about that with the community. It would be kind of fun.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I want to see you speed run it though, so you're gonna have to practice some.
I'm terrible, but yes, maybe we will try that.
Sure, why not?
It'll be, how long can the speed run possibly be? Cool. All right. Well, let's follow up with the last bit of PlayStation news. I like to talk about the PlayStation Plus games that come out every month, just because it is so damn awesome. The Xbox games came out this week as well for February, and they're not that great. Dead Island is a game, not the sequel to Dead Island, but the first one is one of the free ones. But then the second one is just some Xbox Live Arcade game, so not super exciting. Yeah. But February's games for PlayStation Plus are pretty damn amazing. The first game is Outlast for the PlayStation 4. This is a horror strategy. It's a game where you can't actually fight. You're basically running away from all these creatures. And if you want to be scared and see some awesome videos, just go to YouTube and search for Outlast. This came out on the PC. And for a while there, a lot of people were posting first playthroughs of friends. And there's parts of this game that will scare the bejesus out of you. It is such a scary, scary game. I want to play this. I can't wait till I pick up a PS4 so that I can play it. And it's free to all PlayStation Plus members in February, which is really cool. On the PlayStation 3, you get 3 awesome titles that I want to own, and now I can, which is amazing, which is Metro Last Light for the PlayStation 3, obviously, Payday 2, and Remember Me. I played both Metro Last Light and Remember Me. I did not beat either of them because I ran out of time in the week that I had to play them. They were rentals. And now I can just go back and play through them and have fun with them and not have to pay $60 to do it on launch day, or even $40 now. So I was looking for a used copy of Metro Last Light the other day, and it was still $40 used. I'm sure that price will be dropping sometime soon, though. And on the Vita, the games for February are Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which is obviously the fighting game with Street Fighter and Tekken fighters, which is really fun on the consoles. I haven't played it on the Vita, but I'm looking forward to doing that. And Mod Nation Racers Road Trip, which is the create your own racetrack and race 'em type game that did really well, but I had never played, so I'm really curious about getting in and playing that one. So that's your PlayStation Plus February games for your instant game collection, which is just ridiculous that they're giving you all these titles for free, for just you paying $60 a month, or a year rather, or like I did, $30 on Black Friday. Got a membership for $30, and now I'm getting all these games for half price. That is just damn amazing. I don't know.
I want to get it just for Payday. I've yet to play the first or the second one, and I want to play that game so bad. So I'm like, maybe I'll get PS Plus this month.
It looks really good. I've never played Payday 2 yet, and it's one of those ones where I've kind of always wanted to play it because it sounds so much fun to play online. And now I'll be able to jump right into it and play it. It's going to be awesome. All right, moving on. Let's get past the Sony stuff, and just an FYI to people out there. If you were looking to buy an Ouya, you might want to wait, because they just announced and have released online the new Ouya, the Nouya, as you might say if you're horribly puntastic. And this one is it's pretty much the exact same one, but it's $130 and it comes with double the storage. So Ouya has already come out with a new version.
So I'd also heard, or I'd read, that this includes performance increases, and so I kept looking to see if this was a faster processor, because I know Ouya is coming out with the next sound. Was it the Tiger 4? I don't even know. But is it just better performance, quote unquote, because it has more RAM or more storage space?
Yeah, they're being very sticky with that. They're not really, from what I've seen on any of the the articles that I've read, they haven't really said what has changed other than the controller is fully redesigned from a hardware standpoint. It still looks the exact same, but all the buttons are better. It's faster. It looks better. the Ouya itself has better Wi-Fi connectivity because that was a huge problem for a lot of people. But they haven't said whether the CPU is faster, but it should be.
Do you own a Ouya? I think you do,
I do,
right?
yeah. I picked it up on the Kickstarter, and I've probably played it, to be honest, maybe a dozen times.
Really?
My kids played it more. There was a game called Dub Wars, which was just like this shooter with dubstep music in the background that they loved. So they played a lot of that. But yeah, I maybe played it about a dozen times, and it's now actually unplugged from all my televisions in the house. I don't play it. I even bought an extra controller, and yeah, that was kind of a waste. Unfortunately, I thought it would be a lot better than it was.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I mean, there's a ton of hype for it, and who knows, maybe they'll gain a little more traction with this version,
Yeah,
especially if the failure rate is less.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, exactly. Kyle in the chat room is saying that they were selling the current Ouya on Amazon for $69. So makes sense that they're blowing them out with the new one coming out. But yeah, you can, if you want to pick up the Nuya or the Tuya, depending on what you want to call it, you can do that right on their website. You can just click buy now, and you can buy the original. I think is still listed, or is it listed? I don't know. It's hard to say. Oh, you can only buy it from. Oh yeah, it is listed. So you can buy the original one for $99, or the 16 gig console for $129. So $30 more for double the storage and a matte black controller instead of the ugly old school silver plastic that doesn't look that great.
is it worth the extra $30? Well, I guess probably not for you since you don't play your current one, but
Yeah, I mean, you get double the storage, but you can
Yeah.
also just plug a USB key into the device because it has a USB port, and you can double or triple or quadruple or way blow it out of the water depending on how big the USB key is that you're plugging into the back. Yeah.
cool.
Ken and Shane in the chat room says that he thinks that myself and him are the only ones in the world that bought a Nuya. And it's great for emulation, and that's about it. Yeah, that's what I've heard from a lot of people. They've played a lot of the games, and then they stop playing the games and just playing the emulators. So that seems to be what it's going to basically turn into for a lot of people, I guess, which is kind of sad. It was a great idea, but just doesn't seem to be doing it for a lot of people.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that's going to about do it for the newsy news section. That was a long one, Will.
It was. I didn't think it was going to be that long.
We talked about Nintendo for a long time.
Well, it's a worthy topic.
It was. So I was just taking a drink of water right there. Well, let's get into the rest of the show. Will, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've been playing this week?
So I won't bore everyone with the usuals. I've continuing to play the games I have on my Xbox One. I'm thinking about I haven't gotten it yet just because I knew this week I wouldn't have time to play it, but I never played the Tomb Raider remake. So I'm thinking maybe next show I'm going to be able to talk about the definitive edition a little bit. Well, and that's what I hear. And so I'm like, well, I'm one of the few cases where it's perfect to buy this new edition.
Yeah,
since I'd never played it.
I've seen the screenshots, and I really want to play it. Even though I beat it on my PlayStation 3, and I don't even have a PS4 yet. I gotta find a PS4, man. Oh, just aggravating me. Anyway,
I know I'm the same way, especially when I saw like it's awesome that even this brand new console is getting brand new games or new games to play with the PS Plus. I think that's awesome.
Yep.
So, but anyway, the other game, and I mentioned it a little bit. I know this is more or less a general video game show, but I've been playing GTA San Andreas on my iPad using PS3 controller.
How does that work, by the way? Does it work really well?
It's amazing. It works flawlessly. I mean, I feel like I'm playing on a PS3, or I mean a PS2, except the graphics are actually a little bit better. But just using the controller, it's awesome.
Nice. I said I would do that last week. That I would jailbreak, but I didn't do it just because I just forgot. I gotta get on that and do that.
Well, in a weird way, I'm really glad I did, but in a weird way, it's kind of made me appreciate touch controls a little bit more than now that I have the option.
Right.
Because it's great to set my iPad on my coffee table or whatever and play with the controller. But then if I want to continue in a more relaxed setting, maybe in bed or something, just removing it and using the touch, it's not nearly as fun, I hate to say, but it's nice having the option to do that.
Right.
So it's definitely worth it. I mean, I know you have probably more than one PlayStation controller just sitting around waiting to be used, and this is a perfect use case for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing we talked about last week, but I just wanted to mention it again because I played a lot more of it. I've been playing a lot more Hearthstone this last week. This game is just so awesome.
We still gotta play each other.
We should. The great part is you'll probably wipe the floor with me.
Why is that the great part? That's not that great.
Well, because you said last time playing online card games isn't always that fun, and I feel like we might be somewhat evenly matched, so it would be fun. I played it a couple online, and I won like the first two, and I think it must have just thrown me in with like the noob section, and then I just got destroyed every time after that.
Nice.
But the more I play it, ironically, the more I'm really enjoying it. And the thing I'm looking forward to most about it is I'm starting to get comfortable enough to build my own decks. I haven't actually started that yet, but I feel like I'm understanding the cards well enough to begin that process.
Very cool.
I asked you last week if the purchases you make, if they stay. The answer to that question is yes. So anything you purchase now, if ever it does go into full release, you will have those cards and those decks available to you then. So
perfect. It makes sense, but maybe they wouldn't do it just to be evil. But
yeah, I thought I agree. I assumed they would, but I just wanted to double check, and I checked out their FAQ, which was worth a read. I suggest if you're interested in this game at all, just going and checking that out.
Nice.
So.
Cool.
But yeah, so that is all I have been playing. It sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. Like the latter two are just whenever I have a chance, and then 1 or 2 nights playing Forza and Battlefield.
Right. Cool. Awesome. Well, I've been playing same old, actually. This week I've played a fair bit of Minecraft with the family again. I've basically rebuilt my whole house. The whole bottom floor is obsidian and the whole top floor is nether brick. And I've only ever played in survival mode, so I'm not playing in creative mode and cheating and using all these blocks. So I'm actually going out and finding this stuff to build this huge tower that I'm building with like multiple floors and glassed in areas and stuff like that. It's so much fun. I love Minecraft, man.
So you're recreating like the house you live, or you're saying like your in-game house?
My in-game house. Yeah, no,
okay,
I'm rebuilding it because I had a house and it was small and I didn't like it anymore. So now I'm building this behemoth thing, and all both my kids have their own rooms and they have their own stuff in their rooms, and there's a master bedroom that has a big glass-in wall. It's crazy, but it's fun. It's like playing Lego, man. It's just get in there and just play. It's
awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Are you I know you're not much of a PC gamer. Did you ever play any of the EverQuest MMOs?
I was more of an Ultima Online guy.
Okay.
I think I had 3 Ultima Online accounts running at once way back in the heyday, and never got into EverQuest because it just was like, well, I'm an Ultima Online guy.
Have you heard of the EverQuest Next or EverQuest Landmark?
Yeah, it looks really interesting. How you could be attacked by this huge like demon, and his fireballs are actually like destroying the world and and deforming the world or the buildings that you're in, which is kind of cool.
So there's 2 parts. There's one is, and they're entirely separate games. It's just an MMO, and then there's this other one called EverQuest Landmark, which is basically the dev tools that
create cool items. If they're good enough, we will put them in the game. It was like, wow, That's awesome. I want to do that.
Yes, or it's just free labor to help them build their game. But yeah, no, either
Exactly.
way,
Yeah.
no, I think it's really cool. But they announced their if you were there's a few different backing tiers you can do for the landmark, and the alpha is being released today. And go check out some of these videos if you're into Minecraft and building. I am so close to spending way too much money just so I can play this alpha, just so I can build. And since you're a Minecraft guy, you might be interested in checking that
Yeah,
out.
cool. I'll have to go do that. Cool. So besides Minecraft, the only other game that I'm playing is Sly Cooper Thieves in Time on my Vita. Enjoying that a lot. Actually, no, that's not true. I did pick up a new game on my Wii U. I've been playing Unepic, which is it's like a Metroidvania. It's a $10 downloadable title, and it's a Metroidvania dungeon explorer. You're a bunch of guys sitting around a table playing D&D, and you drink too much beer and have to go to the bathroom, and the lights go out, and you wake up in a dungeon, and you have to find some way to get out. So just really quirky Metroidvania game. So you have to find objects to move further into the world, to get more objects, to get further in the world, to defeat the end boss, and I guess return to humanity. But that's been a lot of fun, and it was only $10, so I had to jump on that.
That's awesome. I really like that setup. That sounds really interesting and kind of fun.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it looks really plain. You can definitely tell it's an indie game that they didn't have a lot of time to work on it. Although it did come out on the PC before it came out on the Wii U, so it has been out for a while. But it's very plain and stuff. But it's a lot of fun. It definitely is. And for $10, I couldn't complain too much.
That's awesome.
All right, well, I think that's gonna about do it for episode 1, man. DeREZD episode 1. What do you think?
I think it was awesome. I'm really excited. I love the new name. I love the new artwork, and yeah, starting fresh.
I dig it as well. Everybody in the chat room, what do you say about the show? Let us know in the chat. If you guys would like to join us while we record, or you guys and girls. Sorry, I say guys all the time, and I'm not trying to be exclusive of females. It's just what I work in an office filled with ladies, and I say, hey, how's it going, guys? And I feel bad every single time, but I do.
I did the same thing.
It makes me feel so bad. I feel bad.
I've yet to come up with a better, more universal word. I come from the South, so I could say y'all, but that just doesn't sound right for being this far north.
I could never do that up here in Canada. That would not work up here. Y'all would not work. I could say use peoples. That would sound worse.
Yeah, it would.
Hey, folks. I would sound like a country bumpkin, I guess, if I did that. But yeah, I always say guys. Anyway, we would love to hear from you, use peoples, and we'd love to have you join us on a future live show. We record this each and every week at 10 p.m. Central, which is, I can't do time zones. Like Pacific,
it's 9
Pacific
p.m.
is
time.
8 p.m., 9 p.m. your time, which is Mountain. And if you're Eastern, it would be 11 p.m. So it's we do it then on Fridays at vgpodcast.com/live. We'd love for you to join us. We had about we had about 8-9 people in the chat room chatting with us, which was a lot of fun. We've had many more and we've had many less, but we love each and every person that comes out and chats with us and keeps us honest while we're talking. And if you want to do that, just come jump in the chat room, vgpodcast.com/live. We can also be found on the web, vgpodcast.com. That's where all the shows are. Our email is vgpodcast@gmail.com, and you can call our voicemail line, and we guarantee that if you send us a voicemail, we will play it on a future episode of the show, unless it's really bad. And that is 505 VG Podcasts. Call it. And here's a pro tip for yous out there, use guys out there, use peoples out there. If you have a Gmail account, you can make free long distance phone calls from your Gmail to US numbers. And this number is located in the US. So just go into your Gmail, turn on Google Talk, dial in 505 VG Podcast, which is 505-847-6322. Hit connect and talk away and leave us a voicemail, and we'll play it in a future episode of the show.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. We definitely love to hear what you folks out there have to say, and questions, comments, or even if it's just kind of topics of the week, reach out and we'll love to highlight it.
Yeah, like I remember back when we did when I was doing the DS Life podcast way back in the day, we used to always have this is when I did the PSP podcast way back in 2005. So this is dating me. This is like early in my podcasting career, or podcasting hobby, I guess, because I don't get paid for this. But we used to have a question of the week, and every week on the podcast, I'd ask a question, and we'd get like a dozen responses in the chat room or in the forums, and that was awesome. And I'd love to do that on a lesser degree with this. So if you have anything that you'd like us to discuss, any questions you'd like answered, please hit us up through our email or our voicemail line.
Yeah. And we also we haven't quite nailed down what game we're going to play, but we're going to be starting some community game sessions here pretty soon too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'd love to start doing community nights, whether it's going to be on Friday nights after the show, whether it's going to be on Saturday. We haven't quite totally hammered out all the details, but we'd love to start gaming with you people. We threw around the idea of maybe starting with like Minecraft on PlayStation 3, but we can do shooters, we can do family games, we can do pretty much anything. I mean, Will and I both play a little bit of everything, and we'd love to figure out what games the community wants to play and then start doing some community game nights and hanging out with you guys. I think that would be a heck of a lot of fun for everybody involved.
Absolutely.
Cannon Shane in the chat room says that he's so down for community nights. That's awesome, Shane. We'll definitely do it. Hopefully, our region differences between our systems won't prevent us from connecting.
Never even thought about that. I shouldn't, though. I don't think so.
No,
I played with plenty of Europeaners before.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, that's going to about do it for episode 1 of a DeREZD. As always, I just want to thank everybody for subscribing. And as I said before, if you are already a subscriber to the bonus stage, don't worry. Your subscription will just turn into DeREZD. You won't have to do anything except listen to our lovely, lovely podcast. If you'd like to subscribe, though, just head on over to vgpodcast.com. You can go to the feeds page, which is /feeds, and you can subscribe to all of our shows. They're all available in iTunes and on Stitcher as well. And we would definitely love for you to subscribe and leave us comments on iTunes as well. But yeah, I don't have anything else to add, man. Anything, Will? Any wise words for our first episode?
Oof. Man, put me on the spot. Live long and prosper is the only one I can think of, but I have no idea why because I'm not even that much of a Trekkie. So that's all I got.
I'm trying to think of some Tron quote, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So we'll have to...
something with user
or Flynn's Arcade or something. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to think about it. It's late. It's like midnight here for me, so my brain's starting to shut down. I'm gonna go to bed. But take it easy, everybody. We'll talk to you in about a week's time, and we do hope you enjoy the DeREZD podcast.
Yes.
Later, everybody.
Bye, guys. Everyone.